Have you been trying to conceive for some time and you have gone to the doctor and all manner of fertility tests have been done and all the results show that they are normal? For instance, the HSG shows your fallopian tubes are open, the semen analysis is textbook, your hormonal profile is perfect, your ovulation is clockwork, but still you're not pregnant. And when you receive that piece of paper from the doctor saying all tests are normal, that can feel like the most isolating and confusing report you have ever received. In this video, I'm going to explain about a topic that is very perplexing and confusing in reproductive medicine, and that is unexplained infertility. First of all, let's be clear with the diagnosis of unexplained infertility. This is what we call a diagnosis of exclusion, whereby all standard fertility tests have been done, but then the results are all within normal. For instance, we have done a HSG and your fallopian tubes are patent. We have done a hormonal profile and your hormones are intact. We have checked the uterus and the uterine factors are okay. And we've done a semen analysis and it's within normal, but still you're unable to conceive. The key thing to understand in unexplained infertility is it does not mean there is no problem. What it just means is that the standard tests that we do have not been able to pick what the problem is. Before we talk about the science, I'd like to explain about the emotional impact. Why is it so difficult when you receive this diagnosis of unexplained infertility? Sometimes you can be angry at your body for not doing its basic reproductive function, which might seem very easy for other people. And people can even be telling you that, thank God that they have not found any problem. But what they fail to understand is it's very difficult to fight an enemy you cannot see. And you're there confused and feeling quite isolated that everything is fine and yet you're not able to conceive. The hidden culprits and the limits of testing. What I mean is what actually could be the problem that we have not been able to capture in the standard fertility tests. So one of the things that could be going on that can result in unexplained infertility is mild endometriosis. So when someone has mild endometriosis, they might not have symptoms and they might not have the ovarian cysts for endometriosis involving the ovaries. And what endometriosis will do, it will cause a hostile environment for the sperm, for the egg, and also for the embryo, resulting in affecting the implantation process. Another potential hidden barrier is something I'd like to call the egg and sperm black box. What I mean by that is there are some issues with the eggs and some issues with the sperm that we are unable to pick with a standard diagnostic test. So for instance, for the sperm, there's something called DNA fragmentation. This is where the integrity of the sperm DNA has been tampered with. And this will affect fertilization and also affect the growth of a normal, healthy embryo. For the eggs, there's an aspect of egg quality, and that is sometimes we have chromosomal abnormalities in the eggs, and this will affect implantation. It will also affect fertilization. The third culprit is something we call the implantation window. I know it sounds a bit complex, but just hang in there. So what the implantation window means is the embryo. An embryo is what is formed after a sperm and an egg have been met and fertilization has occurred. So that's what an embryo is. And then there's the lining of the uterine cavity. That's called the endometrium. So this embryo and the endometrium are supposed to have a complex relationship so that the embryo can implant and form a pregnancy. In case where we have an issue with the timing, there can be an issue of receptivity where this lining is not receiving the embryo, and that affects implantation. And so every test can be negative, but at the end of the day, conception is not occurring. There's an aspect of immune factors. Your body's immune system is meant to fight for you, like fight bacteria and other things that affect you, viruses. So sometimes your body can recognize the embryo as foreign and fight it. That's an abnormal immune response towards the embryo. So the tubes are open, fertilization is occurring, but when the embryo is formed, comes to the uterus, and the immune system fights it and kills it. And that can be the reason why everything is normal, yet you are not being able to conceive. So one might be asking, yes, I have this diagnosis. So what now? What are my possible solutions to this unexplained infertility diagnosis? So I'll give a spectrum of solutions, and that is the possible treatments that can be given. First and foremost, we start small. We can start with lifestyle modification. Eating right, exercise, we can never overemphasize that, because that can help improve the quality of the egg and the sperm. Another thing we can do is ovulation induction with intrauterine insemination, and this will help overcome factors like cervical factors. Then lastly, we can do the famous IVF, which means in vitro fertilization. IVF is whereby we stimulate the woman's ovaries to produce eggs. These eggs are retrieved outside the body and fertilized in the laboratory. So in this case, we are able to see it can be diagnostic, at the same time, it's treatment. What I mean is this: diagnostic in the sense that we are able to tell how did fertilization occur, and how are these embryos growing, and what is the quality of these embryos. And we can even do a genetic testing on the embryos before we do the embryo transfer. It's treatment because we are able to overcome other factors like endometriosis, which can impair fertilization, and we are also able to overcome other factors like tubal factors and fertilization factors, and fertilize in the lab and do the embryo transfer. So if you have this diagnosis of unexplained infertility, it's not the end of the journey. It's actually where once we get the diagnosis, we do an empirical treatment. What I mean is we treat even if we don't know the actual problem. So do not give up. Do not feel like it's the end of the road, because solutions exist for your diagnosis. I hope this video is helpful, and if it is, and if you know someone who would benefit from this video, share the video with them and let's spread the knowledge. Subscribe to our community and let us change the conversation around infertility together.